to the Draft Indy podcast episode somewhere between 8 and 10. I'm not quite sure. We're back. I got Brian and James with me today. I know we said a couple weeks ago we are going to have the bye week special with Kyle. Unfortunately, last week a couple of our fellow podcasters had some extreme weather that included knocking down trees and stuff all over the place. I'm glad you're alive, James.
Still alive.
So I'm sure that was pretty fun having to camp out and all that kind of stuff. So we're here. We didn't do it last week, and Kyle's not here with us either, which is okay. We're gonna get him on soon. I know he wants to be here. We're just having some scheduling problems when you're trying to get 5 people together. It's always kind of rough, especially around nighttime. So let's just kind of get into it. You know, we're 5-5. Week 11, I think we just finished, right? Yeah. With our bye week. So moving on to the next game against the Buccaneers, another NFC South opponent, and they look like they're a better team than the Falcons, just to be honest. And that's kind of hilarious considering the preconceived notions, at the beginning of the season, Lovey, and no one really likes Lovey. I'm not a big fan of Lovey. And the Buccaneers, they weren't supposed to do anything well, but here they are. I think they're 5-5 as well. So it'll be an interesting matchup on Sunday. So that'll be pretty exciting to see. So, when we look at the season so far, it's been so weird. I mean, it's just like, besides 2011, let's just erase it from memory. I think everyone will agree with me there. We've just got, it's just, it never happened. We didn't have to see Curtis Painter, Dan Orlovsky, Kerry Collins. Man, talk about that is terrible. That's just terrible to think about. I hate thinking about that.
Cue video of Dan Orlovsky running through the back of the end zone, not knowing he just had a safety.
Oh my God, yeah, dude. Just that whole season was Bizarro World, but I think we're in our own Bizarro World here this season. Matt Hasselbeck is undefeated. Here we are. He's 3-0. He's 40 years old. He's laying the smackdown out there. But the thing is he's not really playing the greatest either. If you looked at, I watched him at all 22, and it's just I don't know. He's missing throws out there. I don't know. But the thing is, we just won against the Falcons in a game that we were supposed to lose. You can't really complain about that. So here we are. We're 5-5. So I'm gonna go straight to Brian. Brian, what are the chances of the Colts missing the playoffs?
0. It's impossible to happen. Call it playoff purgatory, which is kind of what I've been calling it, but it's really not feasible in any way to think that the Colts aren't going to make the playoffs, because I can't take any other team in this division serious, and I just think, as you saw, no matter how bad the Falcons, if that's how you want to grade them, with Matt Hasselbeck barely managing a game, the Colts still won, and against an inferior opponent, or a superior opponent. So, there's still, 3 division games left. That puts the Colts at 8-8. 7, in reality, what game would they lose? Would they lose to the Texans? I think the Texans would probably be the front runners right now because their defense has been playing lights out. I think it's been, 1 touchdown the last 3 games they've given up. I still think we will destroy the Jaguars. The Titans are bad. Playoff purgatory. So I think it's 8-8 season.
Yeah, I think looking ahead, we've got the Buccaneers. I think that'll be a close game, but it's at home. I'm going to give the edge to us. At Pittsburgh, I don't know what's going on with them. They're having a weird season too. Landry Jones was supposed to play the last game, and Ben was apparently hurt, and he was going to be out 2 to 6 weeks. And Landry Jones went down in first 5 minutes, and then Ben Roethlisberger throws for 5 touchdowns and 400 yards because he's just incredible. And then we've got Jaguars at Jacksonville. I still think we win that game every time. Texans at home, gotta win that one. They still haven't won. I still want them to never win.
Yeah, it's almost automatic win when you think about it now.
At Miami, I think Miami at that point in the season is going to be, they're already done for the most part. They got the interim head coach. Unless they're going to be out there scrappy, putting out that grit and that scrap. You know, that's probably a win. And then Tennessee at home for the last week of the year. Come on, that's gravy train. I mean, you're right. I mean, 9-7, 9-7's pretty feasible. 10-7 or 10-6 possible. But you know, I mean, it's just there's no way. You know, you're right. I mean, 0% chance that we don't miss the playoffs. So this is what we got to do now. You know, before I was okay with saying let's pack it in, let's just get everyone fired, get the high draft pick. I'm back. I mean, it's whatever. Colts. It's football. You got to win. You want to win. I don't want the Jags to win the division title. I don't want Texans to win it. I don't want the Titans have no chance in hell to win it. But the Jags and the Jags and the Texans, I don't want it to win them. Just because, I don't like it. I mean, it's I just don't. It's just how it goes. I feel for Jacksonville. They've never won a division title, and it's funny because you look at Colts Twitter, you look at Jags Twitter, and I was tweeting about this the other day. We've taken it for granted. Nine division titles compared to 1 Texans, 3 Titans, and 0 Jaguars. It's just like, when we talk about winning the division, it's just like, oh, another one. It's nothing exciting for us. But then you see Jags Twitter, and they're like, we gotta win, we're gonna win the division, and all this, and it's just like, and then you realize they've never won it, so that's what they're desperately praying for. So I mean, it's just, it's time to move forward. And I think it's time, especially with this potential injury to Costanzo. I said it when Garrett and I were talking on the last podcast. I think it's time for Good to play. I mean, the Buccaneers, it's the perfect game for Good to start. Their pass rush is terrible. I mean, it really, really is. So, let's get Denzel Good playing right tackle where he was drafted to play. Let's just see what he can do. I mean, if it's awful, then you can shift around. But I would rather play Mewhort at left guard where he's dominant at than have him play right tackle and Joe Reitz play left tackle. I mean, it's just, oh, man, it's already, I'm starting to think about it.
Yeah, I think that's what Stephen Holder was talking about today. He said he was talking to all the beat writers, and they were going over the different formations that the offensive line could go through. And I think pretty much like he laid out where I think it was Mewhort at right tackle, and pretty much every response was just keep at least have one player that knows how to play that position. At least keep one part of the offensive line good, that you don't have to worry about during the game. That's pretty much what the consensus was of all the replies to his tweet. So I think most people are on par with that, and I don't see any reason why the Colts organization wouldn't be either.
It'll be interesting to see, because I think Good was inactive for the Falcons game, so that's why there wasn't really a chance for him to play last game. But talking about offensive line again with Chud at the helm, 2 game sample now, and 1 game with Andrew, 1 game with Matt. It's just ball gets out quicker. It seems it really does. The offensive line's doing a pretty good job. Not really had any complaints about Hugh Thornton, to be honest. And I've not been the biggest fan of Hugh Thornton, but he's actually held it down pretty good at right guard. He's not been a ground beater, but I haven't really seen him get abused very much, which is a good thing. Harrison had a couple of bad snaps, and everyone's, as soon as he has 1 errant snap, everyone's like, oh my God, Colin Holmes, he needs to play because he's, he'll never mess up a snap. And it's like, yeah, Colin Holmes might not miss a snap ever, but I don't see Colin Holmes suplexing someone. I mean, Jonathan Harrison is just an absolute monster of a man. He is huge. He's strong, and it's just, and I think keeping those 2 guys at center and right guard, Mewhort at left guard, Reitz can move over. I don't know if you guys knew this. Reitz actually is the number 9 Pro Football Focus tackle right now. He's actually been playing very, very well according to their metrics. So that was really surprising to me. And Costanzo was 11th or something like that, or 14th.
That can't be right.
It's not right, but it is. Because
offensive line's awful. That can't be right.
Oh man,
worst offensive line in the league.
Yeah, I mean Grigson's done a horrible job.
Awful.
Just such a bad job that our tackles are top 15 on Pro Football Focus. I mean, it's so bad. And actually, when you look at their overall guard rankings or whatever, Mewhort's number 6 of the season. So I mean, Grigson's done a horrible job. Just so bad. So bad, and I'm going to talk about that right now because this makes me mad. The whole narrative all season long, Colts one man season. Everyone's talking about this. And then all the media are like, well, wait a minute, maybe the Colts aren't so bad. And then the media starts talking about how people have been dumping on the Colts for not having a bad roster and all this kind of stuff. Here's the thing. We've been telling you this whole time that the roster is not as garbage as people make it out to be. There is a little semblance of depth here. This has been a very weird season because Pep Hamilton was not calling plays very well. And on top of that, Andrew Luck got hurt. So we're just in this weird purgatory of having a hurt starting quarterback and a new offensive coordinator who's just starting to work with Andrew for the first time. So I mean, it's been a weird season for those reasons. But I mean, like the depth on this team has been real. I mean, this last game, DeQuell Jackson and Jarrell Freeman have played they played lights out. They've been Freeman and Jackson have actually played lights out the past couple of weeks. It's been pretty nice to check that out. And I know Brian's been a big supporter of DeQuell's and Freeman's all year long. So
yeah, I was actually pretty surprised. I remember preseason. I think it was mostly Garrett. He was very, very pessimistic about them moving forward. And I know we all know that each of them can do something in their own right, whether it be versus the pass versus the run. That they're very respectable in one phase of their game. But then to see them, especially blitzing, because we mostly just talk about dropping back in coverage or playing up against the run, shedding blocks. To see them blitzing has been and adding a third element to their game has been quite a surprise. And I'm glad that they've actually filled in the role, because we were talking about this huge rotation with guys that we were adding, like Nate Irving and then C.O. Moore. So we were talking about this huge rotation of 4 or 5 guys that they've been able to separate themselves, at least as the starters for this season, has been pretty awesome. Because that's another thing that I wanted to talk about that we maybe touch on later is, since the edge of our defense has been so bad with our outside linebackers, for Perry, for the inside linebackers to step up, for Lowry and Geathers over the middle. The middle of our defense has been absolutely amazing this year. And that's something that more people would know about, and that'd be a bigger narrative if our outside linebackers even made a couple plays a game.
Yeah, let's transition to this. I've looked this up. I'm just gonna ask the question. I know you guys know the answer because we were just talking about this before we started. But listeners, if I asked you to think of how many sacks the Colts had into Week 11 of the 2015 season, think of a number. Think about it for a second.
And for reference, if people don't know, what would probably be an average team in the NFL right now would be 23 sacks.
Okay, so 23 sacks. That's the average.
23 is like 16, 15.
Oh, God.
Okay. So the Colts have 14 sacks. 14. Mathis has 4. Langford has 3. Where was I at? Oh, I don't have it in front of me, but a whole bunch of other guys have just 1.
Yeah, so 7 guys have 1 sack.
7 guys have 1, and so Langford and Mathis literally have half of our team's sacks, and that's 14, which is 9 less than the average. And just going right off of Brian's point there, the outside linebackers this year have been terrible. And we can maybe even talk about Minuski if he hasn't been scheming up his blitzes as much as he did last year. But that could just be the product of how our defensive line has actually played relatively really well this year. But we've had relatively. I mean, Trick Cole, he wasn't on that list of people with sacks. If you wanted to know that, he has no sacks. In fact, Newsome played over him a whole bunch in the Falcons game. I mean, Newsome played a whole bunch in this last game.
Yeah, Newsome's definitely been playing a lot more within. We can say the last game against the Falcons, but the last couple of games, he's really been playing more. Because I remember a couple weeks ago, we're like, oh, where's Jonathan Newsome? Where is he? And he has been making plays, but he's on the field.
Yeah, you can tell they're just trying to find someone that can play outside linebacker with Mathis, because they're rotating Werner, Newsome, and Walden a bunch, and then Cole too, and they're just trying to find somebody that can get a pass rush in.
But it's weird because I'm almost positive last year they were 9th in the league in sacks.
They had 41 or something like that.
Yeah, and without Anderson and Henry making that push in the middle.
Same person.
I can't even think about who the other
He
Corey
plays like two
Renning.
people.
Yeah, Corey Renning. But like Warner had a much bigger role last year than he does now. I mean, Newsome had a couple good plays, but like you talk about like those are the guys that were making that had like a majority of the snaps, and then you bring back Mathis, but for some reason, maybe it was just like maybe it was a certain formula of like getting two guys on the field at the same time. They played really well together, but maybe they haven't been able to find that rotation yet.
Yeah, it's 14 sacks. Like when I looked that up right before we started this, I mean that blows me away. But then again,
30th.
It's what?
30th in the league.
What's 31 and 32?
12 for both the Falcons and the Giants are tied at 12. So they've got two more than them, so that's something.
Well, good thing the Falcons brought in like 5 free agents and like
drafted Nick Beasley, number 1.
Yeah, and Grady Jarrett. Good thing they spent all that money on guys revamping their entire front seven.
You know, they're still in a rebuild. That team wasn't very good last year, and I don't know. I'm not going to give them excuses. They've Matt Ryan played like complete garbage the other day. I mean, that interception was right in front of us. I mean, and everyone, whoever that D. Ellis guy is, that dude can whatever. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say it. This is a family podcast here, but it's just that interception was right there, right in front of me, and it's like having the all-22, but at a lower level. So it was cool. I have no clue. I have no idea where Matt Ryan was throwing that ball, and he had a couple of those. I mean, it was just absolutely bad. And DeQuell just grabbed it and walked right in. I mean, it was just weird. But still, like there's been zero pass rush. I mean, it's just when we get to when we talk about our defense, it's not been there. There's not been hits. There's not been hurries. It's just non-existent. So I mean, that's where we're going to get into this. Like when we want to talk about, let me explain this to our listeners here. I want to talk about why certain positions are drafted higher, and like what positions fill in those lower tiers of moving down the draft list. And I think that top echelon, draft position, right? That's going to be your quarterbacks, your elite quarterback type players, obviously. Jameis Winston, Mariota, Luck, Griffin, Ponder, Blaine Gabbert, whatever. The reason those guys were drafted so high is because that position holds so much weight, and that anyone listening to this knows that, obviously. But I think that's obviously priority number 1, and like right underneath that, to me, is that athletic pass rusher. I mean, just absolute freak of nature pass rusher who's going to blow up defenses and just do an absolute, ridiculous job. And then but I'm going to say that the next on that same tier, I think, is going to be I'm gonna say tackle. I'd say.
I mean, that's when you talk about like draft and like people talk about like starting franchises. Like that's the 3 things. Or like
right.
Find a quarterback, find someone who can rush the passer, find someone who can protect the passer. Like that's usually like the 3 things that we equate with like starting a franchise with.
Right. Yeah. Those. I mean, the tackles right after that. It's in lots of value. Lots of Eric Fisher, Luke Jokel, those guys were drafted so high. Again, not good examples of people who are drafted high, but they were drafted high because of that premium placed on that position. So that next tier, I guess I'll pass it to who wants the next tier?
I'll take it.
All right, James, tell me what's the next tier of draft importance?
So next tier, I would think you'd go to then cornerback. Cornerback's super important, especially league now, passing league, everything. All the cliches about it. Cornerback, I think, would definitely be the next category. I'd piggyback off what you said for sure. Quarterback's number 1. Then you got to get somebody that can rush the passer, because if you have a pass rusher, that changes the entire defensive makeup. Some people have been saying that cornerback, if you take a cornerback, that'll affect the pass rush, because if you have a good cornerback, then they can cover longer. and allow the pass rush to get there. But I mean, you could say it that way. You could say that it's the other way, that a good pass rush will make a cornerback look better. I think it's easiest and most important for the Colts to get a quarterback or a pass rusher. Quarterback too. That's the next step.
That's a Freudian slip.
We need a time machine for Hasselbeck because he's a winner.
I would take 2000 was the year they made the Super Bowl. 2003.
2005.
2005. I don't think
you're like 4. I think.
When he listen, who was he? He was known to Darrell Jackson. I think it was their number 1 wide receiver that year. I would take 05 Hasselbeck.
Well, it helps when you got the league MVP running the ball too, which that's why running back is the next most important. No, but yeah, they got to get someone that can get after the pass, get after the quarterback. They don't have anybody now. Their best pass rushers are Robert Mathis, who's 35, and Walden, who's going to be pretty much cut. I don't think they keep him around, and he's not good enough to be your number 1 pass rusher.
He's not really a pass rusher. He's just a run stopper.
Yeah, everybody else on the roster is probably going to be cut or not even close to good enough that you want to rely on them. You got a number 1 cornerback. You don't have to go cornerback first overall. You need a pass rusher. They've got nobody, like we've said, that they've got 12 sacks. That's the biggest issue with the defense. They can't get after the quarterback. There was so many times Ryan had a ton of time, and luckily he just kept wasting throws, throwing them to Roddy White.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. All right. Well, I was just going to continue off because I remember when we were talking in preseason, I was kind of more team draft the quarterback in round 1. I thought I'm always a big fan of press corners, and I thought if we added a guy against along with Vontae Davis, there's some things I like about Greg Toller, some things I hate. I thought that our pass rush had enough options where if we added another cornerback, I was more under the assumption that I would go cornerback first, have them play very good press coverage, pass rush will get there eventually. I pretty much switched that after kind of seeing it this year when you have such a bad pass rush. Obviously, Toller and Vontae have taken a little bit of a step back. Vontae has taken a step back. Are we all willing to agree with that? Okay.
I don't know. I think it's a lot of not having a whole lot of help when it comes to pass rush. There's been, Greg Toller's been out quite a bit this season as well. And so, Darius Butler played the outside for a while. Jalil Brown, remember when he was on the roster, he played the outside.
Yeah, start.
Yeah, he started, a couple games earlier this season.
But
so go ahead.
I'm pretty much pass rusher first round. I've never really been a fan of the late round 1 pass rushers. Sometimes I've never been a fan of because they always have like that one big glaring weakness, and it seems like those guys should be more day 2 guys. But they have like one good thing that they do well, which bumps them up in the first round. They have like huge weaknesses. But I mean, when you
or there's guys where it's hard to pick where they actually play, like Preston. We are all big fans of Preston Smith. Didn't know where was his last name, right? Preston Smith. Yeah. We didn't know. A lot of people, is he a 4-3 and is he a 3-4 O linebacker, or is he even a 3-4 DE? Then that's the reason I feel like he slipped. But he was right there for us to take instead of Dorsett. And, that's where we've been. And I know Garrett's not here to defend his opinion on wide receivers, but I would say kind of after cornerback, maybe you can get into some safety. Probably with that, you can probably just say DB.
I think it's pretty much. I don't know. I think after you get to those, it's all mixed.
Yeah, it's kind of mixed there towards the end. But after I think for me, I would say after your DBs. You're looking at wide receivers. They don't have to be, you can go that first, second, third round. We got Moncrief in the third. Granted, that was like the best wide receiver class ever, relatively ever. And, so, we're just good, just thinking about that. When you got that, that's still really important, second to three round guys, with those guys, unless you're getting someone who's just an absolute stud, Calvin Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, Sammy Watkins, coming out he looked absolutely fantastic. He's not been necessarily as great in the pros as we'd hope so. but going on from there. But after wide receiver, for me, I'd say, what really you've got left is running back, interior line, inside linebacker, interior D line. So I think interior D line would probably be at the top from there. And then, running back is going to be towards the bottom, I would say. When it comes to draft priority, look at Thomas Rawls, absolutely.
I mean, I think I don't know. I disagree with wide receivers. I think wide receivers are right there next to running backs.
Towards the bottom.
I'm very. I mean, like you said, guys. Like.
Are you Ray Farmer?
No, I won't completely. I won't completely ignore the wide receiver position at all, especially if I have a bunch of scrubs playing. But I don't know. I think.
Wait, hold on. Don't talk bad about X Factor Gary Barnidge. I mean, I know he's not a wide receiver, but still, like you think, it's kind of funny. We were talking about this before James got here. You see, right, we're gonna pick out 15 plays. All right, Josh McCown. First problem there. Josh McCown, pick out 5 plays. All right, let's throw a seam to Barnidge. Let's throw an out to Barnidge. Let's throw a hitch to Duke Johnson. Let's throw a deep ball to Taylor Gabriel, and let's just bomb it again to Barnidge. The Browns are awful.
I don't know. I think wide receivers catching up to that running back kind of state of mentality we had. Where listen, if I can get Dante Moncrief in the 3rd round or another dude in the 4th, I don't know. I'm kind of against the whole skill position round 1 thing.
Yeah. Just another quick shot at the Browns. How did they not draft a wide receiver in 2013?
Yeah, 2014.
2014, that's right, 13. How did they not draft a wide receiver? You just go down the list of the top 15 wide receivers in that draft. Even you get down in the late rounds, you've got Martavis Bryant, Allen Robinson's 2nd round, I guess, Moncrief. You've got so many good players that were drafted later, too. Like, they had 4 chances, and they're every time like, no. And, we know Josh Gordon's not going to be here the entire season, but we don't need to even worry about wide receiver this year. Let's go UDFA.
Yeah. And, I mean, you can also with, inside linebacker, too, those guys, unless you're getting, an absolute stud at the position, you can kind of curve those to the mid-rounds as well.
Well, remember the Browns draft, I'm looking it up right now. The Browns drafted Vince Mayle from Washington State, 4th round. I don't even think he's on their practice squad.
No, he got cut before training camp.
They cut him completely off the roster.
Yeah, before training camp. Holy
and then
cow.
That was their first, after Duke in the 3rd round was Vince Mayle in the 4th, and then 2 tight ends in the 6th round.
Bad teams stay bad. It's true. It's absolutely true. So
if we're talking draft needs, I think I'd be with Brian. I have wide receiver pretty low. I'm not.
Oh yeah.
I'm still always going to say best player available. We were talking. They absolutely have to get a pass rusher. You just have to figure something out. I'm not saying it has to be drafted. You can go 2nd round if you think you've got a guy there. But
best player available unless you have a top 15 grade on Philip Dorsett.
We need to revise that, actually, the whole BPA thing. But their wide receiver, they're getting Dorsett back hopefully this year. You're going to have a 2nd-year Dorsett, Moncrief, and Hilton. That's a good top 3. If you keep Whalen around as a 4th wide receiver, who Whalen's making me eat crow every day. I've laughed at everybody. Everybody wants to be the new Collie.
If you need a 3rd round, what are you going to do? You throw to Griff. If you need a hell of a lot of grit on a play, you throw the ball to Griff. It's 3 and 17. Just give the ball to Griff. I mean, all you got to draw up is a 9-yard slant to him, and he'll get it. I mean, he's going to grit that out. He's going to show no mercy. It's just he's, it's kind of funny. Every year, everyone's always on this Griff bandwagon in preseason because he makes all those catches, and he does. But at the beginning of the season, everyone was like, "Oh, Griff will never make the team." But you got to think of who we're thinking about. We're thinking we've got Ty, Andre Johnson. This is before the season, remember? Andre Johnson. He's going to come in here and tear it up. Moncrief, Dorsett, Duron Carter. And then
Duron Carter was going to have 20 catches for 12 touchdowns.
Yeah, he was, and he was going to have 2,000 yards and and he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer because like his dad, he's going to cry on TV. But it's just it's I don't know. Griff stays. Griff is good. I mean
He's a Colt.
He's horseshoe. He's a horseshoe guy. He's a rolling ball of butcher knives. He's the guy. He's the guy who sharpens the iron. I mean, I'm gonna give you all these Pagano-isms, right here, right in your face. Because that's what Griff Whalen is. Like when you think of a guy who brings his lunch pail to work every single day, it's Griff Whalen. He's just got his blue collar on, and he's got his lunch pail, and he's bringing it to work, and he's gonna get you that that 3rd and 3. And so it's just that was really low on the list, and I don't know. I mean, but for us, when it comes to the 2016 draft, man, it's pass rush times 5, and then every other position. I mean, we've got to find. There's no other position that we need to draft. And everyone's always team trade down. This is a time, like, I don't know if there's a guy like this that we need, but this is the time where it's time to, we need somebody. It's bad. 14 sacks through week 11. It's awful. It's, I'm not going to talk about, potential trading up because I don't know any of these players just yet, but I do know that.
Yeah.
I do know that the pass rush is absolutely something that we need. So, I don't know. And then after that, cornerback. I mean, I think that's probably fair. Cornerback is probably right after that because Greg Toller is a toilet. I mean, he is just absolutely just terrible. And before it was, oh well, he was doing the job that he was supposed to do. He's doing it. He's just bad. He gets burned.
Toller specializes in one thing, and that's playing big physical receivers next to the sideline. When he does that, he's very good. I'll say that. But if you get him past that side of the hash marks, anywhere in the middle of the field, he's going to struggle. I mean, the one thing that he does, like that's the problem with the defense, is that you have a bunch of guys that can do one thing really, really well, but smart teams, obviously will be able to show those weaknesses. So if you get Greg Toller anywhere near the middle of the field, he's going to get burned. He plays big wide receivers really good because he's very physical and he knows how to kind of put himself in a boundary near the sideline. But if he's not near the sideline, he has no awareness of space.
You throw him one head fake, and your double move is going to get 10 yards of separation. You don't even have to actually stop your feet. Just go like that with your head, and he's diving after you like the ball's already out.
Yeah. All right. So we've already established pass rush and we've established cornerback. What's our number 3 biggest need right now, guys? What are you thinking?
Interior offensive line.
Yeah.
Center or a right guard. I mean, people are starting to like what they see from Thornton. He's just not obviously bad at the moment, but that's a spot that really needs to be upgraded, and center has to get something done. I like Harrison as much as anybody, but that's a spot. He's a good backup center.
You can find better value in the 3rd round on interior offensive line.
Yeah, it's not a round 1 need.
Definitely not. It's not a round 1 need. I mean, you think about some of these round 1 guys, and you think Fisher, Jokel, even like Jonathan Cooper, Chance Warmack. I think Chance Warmack's actually kind of proven to be the opposite.
Yeah, but Jonathan Cooper hasn't been good. Jokel hasn't been like. Grant, you've actually hit it right on the head. Like all these can't fail offensive linemen. These technicians, maybe not the most. I'm not saying team athlete for offensive linemen, but we talk about like these guys, Jokel, Matthews has played well, but like you think these guys you can't miss like offensive line, like it's not a sexy pick, but it'll work, and it hasn't worked.
Yeah, I mean, because everyone's like, oh, we got to protect the quarterback. Let's throw all this draft capital at it. The thing is, I mean, it worked. I mean, but look at San Francisco. I mean, look where they're at right now. They put a lot of draft capital and all that kind of stuff in their first-round picks, and here they are. They're a dumpster fire. There's some other teams that are a dumpster fire. I think the Browns.
Look at Dallas. Dallas has the best offensive line in the league, and their quarterback can't stop getting hurt. Quarterbacks get hurt sometimes.
Yeah.
If you have a good offensive line, you can minimize the risk. You can minimize the number of hits they're going to take. but they're going to get hurt. They're going to get hurt, especially if they get hurt running the ball 5 yards downfield outside of the pocket.
Wait, I thought Andrew Luck got hurt because he got hit every play.
No,
Yeah, that's
no,
what it was.
Is that what you're
No.
telling me?
no. He got hurt because Grigson's a bad general manager.
That's exactly what it is.
I mean, as soon as Ryan Grigson got hired on, Andrew Luck's risk of ACL tear tripled.
The clock started ticking.
Yeah, it did. I mean, his shoulder separation, that's totally Grigson's fault. But you're right. I mean, you're right, James. Hugh Thornton hasn't played, terrible this year, like I had alluded to earlier. But that doesn't mean that I want him as our right guard for the next 4 years. Hell no. No, absolutely not. He's a good backup right guard, just like Harrison is a good backup center. But we absolutely need somewhere in that, to upgrade those two guys. And I don't know. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot of these players yet. I haven't really started on that. It's about time. And but it's interesting. It's just I don't know. I just they play okay, but that doesn't mean that you have to be okay with their play. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So after interior line, I think that number. So what would be our number 4 greatest need? What are we looking at?
James.
I'm going safety because safety wasn't the second, right? No, corner was second. Yeah, I'd go safety. I like Geathers. I like what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
That he finally got in a game and got to play safety and was looking good. And I'd be fine with re-signing Dwight Lowry. He's been playing. I mean, at worst, he's an okay player. Like, that's good. I like him. He's handsome. That's good enough for me.
Right.
Mike Adams, you're handsome too, but you're just too old to keep going. So we got to plan ahead.
Yeah, this is the shout out to Alex Jacobson at Alex Jacobson PFS. What's up, bro? I think you're listening right now. I can see
Great account. Great account.
Good account. Follow him. He's a top 20 Colts Twitter. That's that's a lot of people to fit in there. So it's not really a compliment, I guess. He's better than that. I like Alex a lot. But he wanted us to talk about Gators real quick, and since we're talking about safeties, yeah, I mean, he's this last game he played really, really well. That dude lays the wood, man, and it's awesome. We have not.
He's not a dirty player.
Yeah, he's not. He's good.
The one hit on Freeman was like the only way he could like tackle him because Freeman was like at I think Geathers like number height or like lower. So like the only way Geathers could tackle him is like the way he did. And yeah, he got helmet to helmet, but like newsflash, that happens.
Wait, is that a thing? People were saying that he's a dirty player?
Oh yeah, for the hit on Freeman for the concussion. But I mean that's like he's a great tackler, so he's not a dirty player. Obviously the pass coverage needs like a little work, but yeah. I mean I was very, very happy, and I know there was one play on special teams where he was gunning it, and he just made just great plays all over the field, especially in pursuit too. The one play, Devontae Freeman, that he had where the Falcons pretty much pulled everyone to the left. Freeman went out to the right. It was like the 30-yard gain on one of the first couple drives. Geathers was in pursuit and made that tackle too. So I really, really liked what I saw from him.
Yeah, he plays the run well. He's got great pursuit. He hits hard. That's a physical. He's a physical, strong safety. He does have work to do in pass coverage. Even though I don't think his pass coverage grade from PFF was that bad. Then again, the first time I looked at that was without all 22. And from what I saw in the all 22, he was there a lot of the times, but he's still working on it. But I mean, I think that was for a fourth round. I think he was fourth round for a fourth round pick. Awesome pick.
Yeah.
Lots of potential. Still learning the position. He's actually. I know it sucks that Mike Adams is out because I really like Mike Adams. But I think Dwight Lowry and Gaithers complement each other a little bit better than the other pair would, just because Dwight Lowry at this stage of his career is okay playing free, but Gaithers has to play strong safety. He has to play that in the box type position, or he's gonna get abused. But he's still learning. And I have high hopes for Gaithers right now. He's played
Yeah,
really
there was a
well.
lot of good film on him from UCF of playing man coverage.
Yeah.
He made some really good plays in the slot against wide receivers. Obviously that was college, but and especially tight ends. I really want to see what he can do against certain tight ends. I mean, you're going to be playing Julius Thomas twice a year. Um, who's the guy in Tennessee? Delaney Walker twice a year. So I really want to see what he can do there, especially at the end of the year when we still have
Garrett
to play those teams.
or what's that dude's name? Oh no, it's not Owen Daniels anymore. Garrett Graham or something like that.
J.J. Watt at tight ends.
Yeah, JJ Watt. MVP, JJ Watt. Um, so I guess
on Geathers,
go ahead.
on Geathers, I got one more thing because I watched a ton of Geathers. I wrote up the
Right.
piece for Draft Indy on him. My biggest question, I mean, he needed to develop a few things, but the biggest thing with him was going to be zone coverage, especially deep zone coverage. He didn't do it a lot, and it didn't look great when he did. But I'm really excited. Like Brian was saying, he did really well doing man-to-man, straight at the line, heads up with a tight end. He was pretty good there. He's got a body size. He can hang with them, and his arms aren't actually measured long, but somehow he does a really good job, good ball skills, knocking passes away before they get to them. So I'm pretty impressed with him there, and that's something I'm excited for. He still isn't ready to be a deep free safety back there, dropping deep, but get him on a line with a tight end, and I think he can do pretty well. So he's got a lot of potential, and that's a good pick. And I mean, fourth round, you're looking for somebody that can contribute, and he's already doing that, so that's good.
Yeah. All right. So pass rush. There we go. We did pass rush, cornerback, interior O line, safety. Let's just do the top five. What's number 5?
Running back.
Running back. I agree. Ahmad Bradshaw, awesome. Give him the ball. He's violent runner, absolutely. But he's old and injury prone, and obviously Frank Gore is old because that's literally the only thing people would talk about this offseason. So, what kind of runner suits this team? And that's kind of an awkward question because we're still figuring out Chud, and we're still figuring, and we don't even know what the coaching staff is going to look like next year.
Yeah.
To be honest, so but
yeah,
if
I couldn't even hazard a guess at what running back, because I mean, they hire Shanahan, then they need a zone runner. If they hire David Shaw, they're going to need a giant heavy running back, Derrick Henry or something.
Well, the good thing is
really
Ezekiel Elliott is a fantastic running back, and we should trade up into the top 5 and get him. And I'm not kidding.
I'm signing up, guys. Goodbye. I'm out of here. No.
Okay. I am in love.
I can't get behind that.
I am in love. Sorry. I'm not saying top 5.
You're fine. I don't care.
The good thing is Ezekiel Elliott I like him just as much as I like Todd Gurley. I was talking to someone about this. I am absolutely in love with Ezekiel Elliott. I hate drafting. I just said running back and wide receiver are like the bottom 2 positions that you invest any draft capital in, at least toward the top of the round. But if Ezekiel Elliott falls, I don't know what I'm gonna do because he's so good. I can't get over how good Ezekiel Elliott is.
This is the hot take you've been trying to get out all.
At running back. No, the hot take at running back is that you can't find 5 teams that have a better 1-2 punch in the NFL of running backs that can pass protect, catch passes, and run the ball better than the Colts have right now.
Ooh.
5 teams.
I'd have to do some thinking on that one.
Yeah.
I think maybe Colts be the 5th team, but I don't think you can find 5 teams better that have more complete running backs. And all 3 phases.
Bradshaw is
Bradshaw and Gore, 1-2 punch.
Bradshaw is a really good pass catcher and a really good pass protector. Always been a top 3 pass protecting back in the NFL. And Gore, I mean, he hasn't hit 100 yards yet. Whatever. But
And I'm talking current, obviously.
Yeah, I feel you.
Like injuries play a factor into that. Like there's no Le'Veon Bell, there's no Jamal Charles. But Colts have they have one of the top 5 most complete 1-2 running back punches in the
I'm
NFL.
trying to think of some of the ones that are up there.
I
If
did a little-
Marshawn's healthy, I mean Marshawn and Rawls, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch, really.
Mm-hmm.
McCoy and Carlos Williams.
Mhm.
Yeah, Carlos Williams. That's a good one.
Um,
I'm not calling you wrong, but
I just
I
I'm
know.
thinking it's one
Yeah.
of those things that sounds wrong. It sounds like there's no way,
but I'm thinking about it.
but
there's
I
not
mean
a lot
it
of good number
depends.
twos.
It depends how. I think what I'm kind of doing when I'm making this take is I'm equaling all three aspects equally, which maybe
Right.
I shouldn't be, because if you are equaling them all three equally, if you're all making them all three equal, then obviously pass blocking is I think one of the best. They're one of the best at it because
They're probably the best two pass blocking tight end or running
So, I mean,
backs.
you
two
don't
of
even
them.
have to weigh them equally, but I still think I'm not saying they're a top 5 overall unit in the running, 1-2, but just everything that they have together and just how deep they are and what their skill brings to the table, especially with their age. I don't know if you want to put like age and experience and what they're able to do, because that's something else too. Like they know what they're doing.
Yeah, but
So two running back hot takes for you.
yeah,
I'll think about that one.
I'll think about that first one, and I'll think about that second one. But I'm probably gonna leave it on both. But we'll see. But I don't have a hot take of my own really. But I will agree with you that RB is a big need because we've got old, decrepit guys. Varga will come back next year, a violent, steed on a white shining horse. Coming in the field with his glorious abdomens and pectorals. He made grown men scream at the combine, if you remember. Whatever, all that, whatever, the parade of half-naked men and oohing and eyeing. You can judge for yourself. You can judge that situation for yourself. But I'm I'm not really, I'm really not sure, exactly what else we got for tonight. Unless James, you got any takes?
I got one rant I got to go on here.
All right, go for it.
Okay, here starts the rant. So me and Alex and I, we're currently Jaguars fans. I converted a few weeks ago when I realized I don't want to make the playoffs at 6-10, 7-9. Makes no sense to me. You're talking about picking between 10 and 12 or so, something like that, versus picking 20 to 25. I don't see the purpose in it. We're going to lose in probably the wild card round. We're going to get smoked by the Steelers, which we're probably going to get smoked in 2 weeks by them anyway. But we keep winning, and it keeps getting closer. And if they're going to make the playoffs at 9 and 7, that's a whole different feel because you're talking picking 18 or 19 instead of picking 20, 21, 22, something like that. So I'm kind of thinking
it starts at 20.
20. I know, but so 20, 21, 22. I was thinking
Okay.
depending on where we finish, because there might be an 8-8 AFC East team or something, and then we'd be 21. So if they can get to 9 and 7, I'm back aboard the bandwagon, like a true bandwagon fan. I still think the Jaguars, maybe they can win it for one, and we can get a good, nice draft pick. But Hasselbeck's a born winner, and he can't stop winning, and that's making this difficult for us.
He can't stop winning.
He can't stop.
All right, I guess I have. Go ahead.
I was looking at the teams we play. So right now, Football Outsiders, they give the Colts a 50% chance of making the playoffs, 49% chance of winning the division. Houston's net closest at 3.6%. Because they consider us right about the same as Houston. Colts are 19 by overall DVOA. Houston's 23, so they're pretty close.
A 50% chance to make the playoffs in the AFC South?
Yes, because they think the
God.
Jaguars have a chance. And I'll give them better than that. I think probably like 60 to 70%. But I still think Houston is playing a lot better now. They could make a run. If they win a couple games and Hasselbeck loses, I think we're going to lose this weekend to the Bucks. I think we're going to lose to the Steelers. That's 2 straight losses. That's 5 and 7. And then we do get the 3 straight against the AFC South. But the teams left we play, Pittsburgh is 7th by DVOA. Tampa Bay's 13th. Tampa Bay's 6 spots better than the Colts by DVOA. I think Jameis might light them up just because who's going to cover Mike Evans.
Well, actually, I think of all the problems that can go wrong in the Tampa Bay game, I think we are matched up pretty well with the wide receivers. I mean, I know I just talked about Toller playing well. I think Toller and Mike Evans is actually I think Mike Evans is a perfect fit for Toller because the way, obviously Mike Evans is a superior talent, but if you put Mike Evans we put him on the sideline and try and get him fit and try and have him beat up a cornerback, I think Greg Toller might actually play very well against Mike Evans. It
I'm
depends
giving
how
my
much they put him on Vontae, but I mean, because everyone talks about Austin Sperry Jenkins 6'5",
He's not
Vincent
playing.
Jackson. What?
I don't think he's playing.
All right, and then Vincent Jackson. I don't know. I think our secondary has size and strength, so that's one thing that I'm looking for in this game is we actually do match up well against them. Can our talent prevail against theirs?
That's fair. I think it's going to happen. So they play Bucks then, 13. The last 3 games, Miami 18, Tennessee 26, Jacksonville 25, and Houston 23. So they're playing 4 teams worse than they are, 2 teams better. I think they probably are going to finish 8-8 and probably still win the division, but I think there's a decent chance that they don't. Anyway, so I'm sorry, Colts fans. I jumped off the bandwagon. I'm a Jags fan now. BCB, Broad City Brigade,
Or
Old City Brigade, not Broad City.
Big Cat Country.
Big Cat Country. That's my new blog. I'm the writer over there. I'm gonna do some fan posts.
Yeah, I do have a hot take, and I'm gonna talk about Matt Hasselbeck for a second. When you look at Matt Hasselbeck and you hear him speak, it doesn't match up, and it just bothers me. Like I gotta say it out loud. Like good player, good guy, donates to a lot of charities, but man, when I heard him give his press conference the other day, that's unnatural sounding. It really is. It kind of threw me off, but that's not really a hot take. That's just kind of me making fun
Hot
of
take.
Hasselbeck.
Weird voice.
Weird voice. But is he a winner? Absolutely. And that's all that matters, I guess. I guess that's all that matters. So we've been on the air for about an hour or so. So I'm just gonna call it a night. We've talked about a lot of good stuff. It's kind of wrapped up. Talked about the season so far. Talked about some pass rush. Talked about
I'm gonna go order my Ezekiel Elliott jersey right now.
Yeah. Probably another Rams jersey then, because they'll probably be like, well, we got Gurley, better get Ezekiel, Jeff Fisher.
I'm buying it.
The mustache needs balanced out, man.
It will never stop.
Yeah, it doesn't stop.
Him?
All right. Well, once again, always thanks for listening, everybody. I had multiple people ask me where the podcast was, what's happening with the podcast, blah blah blah. Here it was. Content and brand aside, pretty good one. So we'll hopefully we can get Kyle in here this next time, and it'll be good. Look for increasing draft talk from us because the season's winding down and the college season's definitely winding down. So all the tape should start being more available.
'Tis the season. I'm starting to look into it, guys. So we're gonna have some content coming out soon. I'm gonna start doing some pass rushers. Shaq Lawson and Noah Spence are the 2 guys I'm looking at right now that look like they're super good, and they're probably going to be way gone before the Colts pick. So.
All right. Well, my piece on why Ezekiel Elliott's the greatest running back of all time will also be out soon.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's getting bad, like my infatuation with him, but it's real and it's alive.
Yeah, and people were so mad on the internet the other night, and I'm 2 seconds. I'm going to take 2 seconds on this because it just makes me mad. If you think you can evaluate someone's character online, if you think that from hearing stories and media reports, and you think that you can tell me who Ezekiel Elliott is, and that coaches are going to take a stance to what he said the other night, yeah, they might, but still, when it comes again, you can't judge someone's character by stories that you hear. You can't judge character on that kind of stuff. Quit doing it and stop getting mad on Twitter about it. I mean, all you can see is the product that they put on the field. You know, that's it. So quit judging someone's character unless they're a scumbag like Greg Hardy who's beat up their girlfriend or something like that. Then you can judge their character because they're pieces of crap. But other than that, he's get in trouble for drugs or steroids or signing autographs or whatever, being Cam Newton-esque and whatever. And but that makes me mad too. People who hate on Cam can just jump off a cliff now. He's better than you in every facet possible, including handsome rating because he's a 10 out of 10. He's the prototype of a 10. So I don't know. I had to go on that rant real quick because it makes me so mad when people get mad on the internet about something that someone does. Mind your own business. Really, who are you? Here we are. So
Draft Indy, team low character this year. We want all the dirt bags. Bring them here.
Yeah, we do because I want an attitude. We need an attitude on this team. The character, whatever. We have to be a classy organization. Who cares? Who cares? If it's a good football team, dirty teams are fun. They really are. I mean, they're a blast to watch. Like those Raiders fans, like why are they so adamant? Because it's fun to watch people kind of be dirty. It's all good. Everyone likes it. Why do you watch MMA? Because you want to see someone beat the crap out of someone. It's just human nature. It's just what it is. So let's bring them on. Bring all the pot smokers, bring on the steroid users, bring them on.
Good thing we got clean together. Dirtiest player in the NFL.
Yeah, dirtiest player in the NFL, clean together. All right, well that's it for the Draft Indy podcast. Kyle should be around sometime, and if he's not, it's whatever. We'll get him on. Don't worry about that. But you can listen to us. We've got good content because I know you enjoy it. Have a good week, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.
Team low character.